What's good, everyone? Today I wanted to do a quick breakdown of my process for creating the photo and video grid sections for Semeion's landing page. For Semeion's photography and videography, I really want to approach this in a different way. I wanted to challenge myself and create something different than what I would normally see on a portfolio site, whether it's for, graphic designers or if it's for photographers. Especially with photographers, I see a lot of similar layouts on their websites. So something like this, I just went to Webflow here and you can see there's a portfolio template. A lot of the photos, they look like this. It's just a straight up grid, which is totally fine. It's quick, it's simple, but I see it a lot and I kind of want to avoid that. Even looking at another one, but you can see this is like a grid layout. And I could have went this route. I could have easily used a template. I could have easily built this out into a grid layout, but I decided to not go that way and just try something different. So around the time I was creating this project, actually a little bit before that, I was already playing around and experimenting with different photo grid animations using auto layout in Figma. So I was fairly familiar how to set things up. Like, this is some of the stuff that I was messing around with before. So I was just playing around with things like this. Just on hover, it's like an accordion, like a vertical accordion, and then stuff like this too, which is kind of fun. It's a little smooth. Could get a little wonky though as the mouse is moving over images, but I was just messing around to see what was possible with auto layout in Figma. And so I was like, maybe that's something that I could try for Semeion's website. So how I set this up, and the goal for me was to really show the work that Semeion's done and the various industries he's worked in. So based on what I understood on his website, he started out in fitness and he's doing private events, weddings, real estate, or at least at the time that I was creating this project, he was doing a lot of real estate projects. So in each of these sections, as it would open up, you would see the different images in there. And I had a couple ideas when I was brainstorming for this. The first thing I wanted to do, because it was the thing that I kind of had seen a lot and knew, was even though like this is closed at first, I wanted to either on hover or on click, it would open up and you would see the image. Right, there'd be the image here, and then it would be a carousel. So it would be something that the user would have to manually click. So it'd be like an arrow here, and they would manually click through each one. I think I tried messing around with that, and I had some challenges, so I decided not to go that direction. And I wanted to make it easier, so instead of having a carousel that the user can actually move through or look through or click through, it would be automatic. So every photo would just play like a slideshow. So it would just move through the photos and they wouldn't have to do anything except for hover and click. Which section do they want to see? Like, what do they want to see from his work? Boom, it just plays. Right? Click it again, then it closes. So I wanted to do it like that. So another challenge I had was, since I wanted each image to play while I'm prototyping this, from what I understood, if I wanted like 3 to 5 images per section, I would need to have, for that one section, I would need to have like 5 different for each section. I would need like 20 different little components that I would have to prototype so that I could have it on delay, after like maybe 2 or 3 seconds, it would go to the next photo and it go to the next photo. See, here I have it set up where it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different components. Otherwise, it would have easily been like 20 or 25. And I didn't want to do that. It would have been too tedious. And if I made a mistake, I'd have to go back and change things. So instead, and I'll open this up and you could actually see the original component. All of the sections are here: fitness, private events, business portraits, and real estate. So in the real estate section, this is inside of a frame. And this is all a masked group with the text. And this is the cover image, essentially, what you're seeing right here. Instead of having multiple images, I created a series of images that would just like, after 3 seconds, it would go to the next one. And I'd done this before in Photoshop, and I'll actually show you, how I did it right now. Okay, so we're here in Photoshop, and for the business portraits section, I basically just added all of the images here that I wanted to include. And if you open up the timeline under window, you could actually create an animation, either a GIF or a video. You could just run it like it's like a short video, and as it plays, it's just gonna switch to the different photos. And that's basically what I did. I think I started in Photoshop because I initially was thinking of creating a GIF, but then the quality got pretty bad. So I wasn't able to figure that out. And if I wanted to keep it at a higher quality, it would have been like a huge file, and I wouldn't be able to actually upload that onto the Figma file. So I decided to make it a video and then compress it so it wouldn't be that long. And it's like a super short video, so this is only like maybe like 10 seconds long in total. To export, you click the hamburger here, the hamburger menu, and then click render video. And that's how I did that. So very simple, something I've done before, and I thought I would just utilize that. Oh, so I just lied to you. It is a GIF. See, it's been so long since I did this project. I straight up forgot. So it was a GIF. That's why I did it in Photoshop. And this is what it looks like when it's played. So yeah, nice. Okay, so I got it looking good enough. It is a GIF. Awesome. Okay, so how I have this set up is this first row right here. This is the original. Everything is grayed out. So the actual cover image has a luminosity under the blend mode. I have it under luminosity. And the goal for this was to make this entire row on hover. So I would have for each section would be on hover. So on hover, real estate, and if I switch to prototype, you can actually see all the connections. And I wanted to make it simple, so I just started with real estate, moved down to business portraits while hovering. Same thing for private events, and then fitness. Now, one thing to note when I started the click animation, on click animation when I'm prototyping it, each component here is not in auto layout. So all of the movement here is done manually. So on click for real estate, when I wanted this section to slide down, I had to manually click on the real estate section and move it. So one thing I did was I just remembered the height. So it was 960. So I just kept it, each section at 960 when it opened up. But I basically manually would move each one of these and make sure, of course, the text was aligned and all that stuff. And then I would move on to each one and do the same thing, and then begin the prototyping. So for the on click animation, I would line it up with this one. So this is on hover, and then when this section is clicked, it goes down here to this component where it's opened up, and this is the interaction setup. Change to real estate click, smart animate, ease out at 150 milliseconds. And something that's interesting that I learned that while I was trying to figure out how the images would change automatically. Once the page is loaded, and this is a prototype, so obviously if I was to do this in Figma or Webflow, I'd have more control over what the images are doing in the background. But once this page is loaded, it's already cycling through the images. So you can close it, and it's still going. So I think, that was something that I couldn't control in Figma, or at least I couldn't figure out how to control, so that when you opened it, it would be on this cover image that you see right here. But unless you get lucky, then that's what it is. But I don't think it really mattered too much, and it wouldn't mess up the user experience. And I don't feel like they'd be too confused if they opened it and it wasn't exactly what they saw on the cover. They just want to see the different images, and basically just rinse and repeat for the other one. So for business portraits, it was the same thing. When this section is clicked, change to portraits click, smart animate, ease out, 150 milliseconds. For the fitness section, I actually included videos. So Semeion had videos of his fitness work on his website. So that's why I decided to add in the video section. So that's why when the fitness section is opened up, these are his videos, all that stuff he edited. So I actually chopped up the stuff that he did in order to fit it in this section. So I believe there are 2 different videos because they were both kind of long form, like interview style videos. So I actually chopped both of those up, and I believe this entire section is maybe like 60 seconds long. And then here's the end of it here. Okay, so that's how I set up the photo section, and the video section is basically the same thing. I have 2 rows here. One is going to be on hover, and then this bottom row here is when it's opened up. So you can see a little sample of that here. That was a great thing about Semeion's work, is he has a bunch of stuff on social media that I could pull from. I wanted to include, that he's on social media and he's active, and that he's sharing his experiences and his journey as a photographer, videographer. I wanted to make sure that was included on the landing page. Because of this particular aspect ratio, when you open up each section, I decided to pull videos from his Instagram instead of YouTube, so that I wouldn't have all this extra space when I included it inside the frame. So for these videos, I didn't have to do any kind of editing. I just directly took them from his IG and placed them inside this frame here. Because there's no auto layout on these, I just opened it up manually and just made sure that I remembered what the width was. It was actually kind of fun to play around with how each section opened up. So this one opens up from left to right. Obviously in the middle, it opens up on both sides, and then you go on the far right side, it opens up from right to left. So initially when I was playing around with this, that was not the case. It looked kind of weird, like when this one would open up from left to right instead, so it would actually like shift everything to the right, and it looked super funky. So I wanted to keep everything balanced, and I think it turned out pretty good. If you're creating any personal projects for your portfolio to attract clients, now's the best time to just mess around, just experiment, and build unique layouts. I kind of feel like when clients do start pouring in, you might not have the time to experiment, or it may not be something that the client wants. They might want something more simple than what I've created here, or whatever you're experimenting with. So what do you guys think? How do you think it turned out? I'm personally pleased with how it turned out. If you found this helpful, slap that like and subscribe buttons. And with that, I will see y'all next time. Appreciate you. Peace.